You die. Not for the first time, not for the last. The screen goes black, 2 words, and then you're back. At the same fire, the same sword in the ground. The enemies have returned to where they stood. Nothing has changed, only you. This is Dark Souls, and before it is a story about gods or kingdoms or the end of an age, it is this, a loop. You die, you return, you try again. The bonfire is not a checkpoint, it is the center of a wheel, and you're bound to it. The game's first item, the thing that marks you, is the dark side. Its description is plain about what you are. You're one of the cursed undead, reborn after death, but who will one day lose their minds and go hollow, reborn at a price. Every death takes something, a little memory, a little of yourself, a little of what the game simply calls humanity. Most games hide their repetition. They dress the respawn as a fresh start. Dark Souls does the opposite. It writes the loop into its lore, hands you the curse as a gift on the first screen, and asks you to keep walking anyway. At Firelink Shrine, you'll meet a man, sitting on the ruins, idle, the crestfallen warrior. He came before you, chased the same prophecy, and somewhere along the way, he stopped. He doesn't rage, he doesn't weep. He tells you, without hope, that there's no salvation here, that you better have to rot in the asylum. He took a look at the loop and simply sat down. He is not broken by monsters, he is broken by the repetition itself. And the game never punishes him for it, it just lets him sit. So the question the game is really asking isn't how do you escape the cycle, because there is no escape. The question is different. Why does anybody keep going? Why do some undead walk back into the dark 100 times, and some, like the man at the fire, simply stop? What is the difference between the one who continues and the one who eventually goes hollow? A long time before From Software, someone else built this exact question into a single, terrible thought. Picture it the way he did. It's your loneliest moment, the dead of night, and something creeps in besides you and speaks. It tells you that this life, every pain, every joy, every breath, this very moment, down to the smallest detail, you will live again and again, endlessly. The same sequence, forever, with nothing new in it. Then it asks you one question. Would you curse it? Or would you call it divine? The thought is from Friedrich Nietzsche. He called it the eternal recurrence. And the demon is not making a claim about physics or time. Nietzsche isn't telling you time literally loops. He is setting a test. The question was never, does it repeat? The question is, could you bear it if it did? Could you want your life so completely that you take all of it, exactly as it was? An infinite number of times. He called this thought the heaviest weight. And he meant heavy, because most of us would be crushed under this weight. We live for the hope of something better, the next thing, the better version, the escape. Take away the escape, and what's left? Now hold that next to a bonfire. Every death returns you to the same fire, the same path, the same waiting dark. The game has taken away the escape, and somewhere in the repetition, the demon's question stops being philosophy and becomes the controller in your hands. Not how do I get past this, it's a much harder one. Could I really want this? Nietzsche had a word for the person who could say yes. Amor fati, the love of fate. It's easy to misread, so let's be exact. Amor fati is not endurance. It's not gritting your teeth through what you can change. That's just suffering with good posture. And it isn't the calm of the stoic who accepts the world by caring less. Amor fati is the opposite of caring less. It's wanting your fate. Every loss, every wound, every death. Not in spite of what it costs, but because it made you what you are. And Nietzsche knew that yes was not free. In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he gives us the cost as an image we won't forget. A young shepherd is asleep, and a heavy black snake crawls into his open mouth and bites down inside his throat. He wakes, choking, writing, the thing lodged in him. And the only way out is to bite the head off the snake and spit it away. He does, rising, a changed man, no longer human, but something that laughs a laughter no human has ever laughed. The snake is the thought itself, the eternal return, lodged in his throat, the unbearable truth that all of it comes back, the worst of everything, along with the rest. You can't reason it out, you can't pull it free, you can only bite through the horror. That bite is amorphity. It is violent and it is victory, but it nearly kills you. Even Nietzsche, writing it, has Zarathustra collapse. 7 days laid out like a corpse, after he faces the thought directly. When he finally rises, he says he is still sick from his own salvation. That is the honest face of affirmation, not a smile, a survival. And the undead are living exactly like this. Look closer at what the curse actually is. You heal from a flask, your Estus flask, and the game tells you quietly where that warmth comes from. It's wrung from the body of a firekeeper. At your first fire, she has a name, Anastasia. She is mute, her tongue taken, so she could never speak a god's name, and she is caged beneath the shrine, her body the fuel that lets you rise again. Every time you heal, you drink from a maimed, silent woman bound to the fire. The loop runs on her. Even the word humanity is a question Dark Souls can't answer. When you read through the item description, it wonders aloud what the thing actually is. What separates the humanity we carry from the soul? The game hands you its central concept and admits it doesn't really know what it means. It just makes you spend it to look human again, to ward off the hollowing one more time, to keep yourself from draining away. Because that is what going hollow is, not death. The undead can't truly die. It's a slow erasure of the one who keeps trying. Each death takes a little more, until there's no one left to want anything. Crestfallen warrior, late in the game, is found again at the edge of New London ruins. Now hollow, same armor, same sword, but the name is gone. He attacks on sight. There was no scene, no fall, no music, just a quiet abstraction finished off screen. He stopped biting the snake, and the snake won. And every empty hollow you strode down for souls, each was someone with a name, each right, just like you, carrying a prophecy. All of them stop. So far, the mission is clear. Keep going, and you're practicing amor fati. Go hollow, and you failed it. The game even gives you a final, perfect test for it. At the end of everything, a choice. Link the first flame and keep the Age of Fire alive, or let it fade. Linking the fire looks like amor fati, made literal. You know exactly what this word is. You've died in it hundreds of times, and you choose it anyway. You walk into the flame and feed the cycle so it begins again. The ultimate yes. Except someone already made that choice. The first one to link the fire was a god, Wynn, Lord of Sunlight. At the end of his age, he gave away almost all his power, took up his sword, and walked into the flame to keep it burning. His soul description says he divided his soul amongst his children and departed with almost nothing. And when you finally reach him, at the cairn of the first flame, he is not a god. He is a hollow, charred, mindless, swinging at anything that enters that chamber. No wind power in boss music, just a piano and the husk that was once the brightest thing in the world. Why did Gwyn leave the fire? Surely not out of love. The serpent cat tells you the truth, the path buried. Gwyn trembled at the dark. He was terrified of the age that would come after his own, and he resisted the course of nature, burned himself, cursing humanity with the dark side, rather than let his age act. But that begs the question, if Gwyn linked the fire out of fear, out of refusal to let go, then linking the fire isn't amor fati at all. It might be its exact opposite. It might be the most elaborate form of giving up there is, not the man who sits down at the fire, but the god who burns the world down to avoid facing the dark. Gwyn didn't affirm the cycle. He couldn't bear what came after it. He hollowed too. He just did it on a throne, So when you walk into the same fire, is it the love of fate, or is it Gwyn's fear handed down to someone else one more time? The game will not tell you. This is where a second philosopher steps in. Because Nietzsche isn't the only one who started that endless task, Albert Camus took up Sisyphus as an example. The man condemned to roll up a boulder up a hill forever, watch it fall, and start again. And Camus didn't ask Sisyphus to love the boulder. He asked something quieter. Can you own the boulder? Can you look at that absurd, pointless repetition of your fate, refuse to be crushed, and say, "This is mine"? Not because it's good, but because he claims it. His fate belongs to him, Camus wrote. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, not smiling, but unbroken. And the game already has its Sisyphus, Solaire of Astora, the knight who came to Lorien chasing a son of his very own, who fails and searches and keeps walking, who looks up at the sun and wonders if he's just a blind fool chasing nothing, and then laughs and keeps going. He doesn't love the futility, he revolts against it by refusing to let it stop him. So now there's a second way to see walking away from the flame. Not affirmation, but refusal. A Camusian no. You will not keep a dying god's fire burning out of his old terror. You let the fire fade and you step into the age of dark, cold, now written, but yours. The game closes that door too, because there's a figure who also let the fire fade. The man at the first bonfire. The crestfallen warrior didn't link anything. He let it all go, and from the outside, his surrender and Camus's revolt look exactly the same. A person who stopped feeding the fire. One is supposed to be defiance and one despair, but the game shows you no seeing between them. That is the misfit. That is the thing Dark Souls does that the philosophy can't tidy away. Every choice in this game can be read two ways, as the bravest thing or the most defeated, as affirmation or as surrender. And the difference lives entirely in the spirit you cannot see from the outside, and the game will never name. So, to go back to the fire, the one you've set down 100 times, the demon is there now, with this question. This exact life, exactly as it is, would you live it again? Nietzsche ponders whether you can want this fate. Camus asks whether you can own it. And Dark Souls poses the question underneath both. The one neither philosopher quite reaches. When you stand up from the fire and walk back into the dark one more time, do you even know what you're doing? Maybe you keep doing because you affirm it. Maybe you keep going because, like Gwyn, you're simply too afraid to let it all end. Maybe the man who put it down found the peace you will never. The game knew his answer. It let it stand, without a word of judgment, right beside yours. You were never just playing a game. You were living a question, one that asks more of you than any lecture could, because it doesn't let you watch from a distance. It puts the fire in front of you and the dark behind it, and it makes you choose over and over, without ever telling you what the choice means. And the fact that you're still here, that you stood up and walked back to that fog gate, which philosophy are you truly following? Nietzsche's, Camus's, or Gwyn's legacy? That part, the game leaves to you.